Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 92 today for the Canadian Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Monaco GP, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one. You might have missed it because it got lost, I think, a little bit in the on the same day the real-life 2020 Ferrari car released with that video, so you may have missed it. It was a real great one, great result for us at Monaco GP, all things considered, where we qualified, the situation, and some of the overtakes we had to make were quite bold and daring. I think Mirabeau has now become one of my new favourite places to make a pass at the Monaco GP. But anyway, we're talking about Montreal then, the Canadian GP. We come to this then with no failures of the upgrades that we purchased at the end of last episode. So 2 engine upgrades, one being pure engine power, which was actually one we fixed from earlier, and ERS, and then also a DRS upgrade, which should help also in qualifying with DRS open, of course, on the lap, and then also whilst we're trying to make some overtakes here. But in terms of how things are shaping up then, well, I only just really noticed this episode, but it's been happening for 3 or 4 episodes now, that Haas have made some insane developments there. They're the 3rd best team, pretty much 2nd best level with Renault, but they used to be the 2nd worst, along with us. We're pretty close to them at the Chinese Grand Prix on paper, so they made some amazing progress. We equally make some good progress here at Montreal. You can see we're quite close now for the first time to that entire pack, I guess, of Renault to Racing Point, with McLaren being the only team really up above, but at Monaco, they didn't really show their true pace, and here Canada will have to see about that, because obviously straight line speed is going to be quite important, so teams like Racing Point and ourselves can come back into the fray with good enough pace down the main straight and on the back straight as well, obviously off the hairpin. But we've got some forecasts also maybe for some rain on Saturday and Sunday, so that's also going to be a 3rd spanner in the works. So a lot can be up in the air, and of course Canada is one of my favourite circuits, so here's hoping we can just make the most of it then and score some decent points once again. So let's go to Saturday and see how we do over one lap.
Hello and welcome from the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, home to the Canadian Grand Prix, for today's qualifying session. The competition is certainly heating up as we head into today's qualifying. Some impressive times showing up during the previous practice sessions. Anthony Davidson, do you think we can expect a similar level of skill to be showcased during today's qualifier?
Well, I certainly hope so. The competition here is extremely tight, and I think we might see some very close times today. Remember, practice isn't just about fastest lap times though, it's about optimization, it's about ratifying your decisions. No one's going to be sweating small mistakes here and there, but in qualifying that all changes. You need to nail that perfect lap or face the consequences, and believe me, that's a lot of pressure.
So swinging through into Q1 then, all sunny at the moment, but there is rain forecast for later on, so I think it might come at Q2, so this will be a good chance for us to get through into the second part of qualifying, but then, I don't know, it might be quite tricky then to progress on. But here we go through to the end of the lap, a little bit wide on the entry there into the chicane, having to compromise my speed with a lock-up in the front right, but across the line for P5, that is at the moment. We got held up a little bit by the Renault that was in the hairpin, but in the end, it is good enough for us to get through into P12 with Russell a few tenths back, and unfortunately that puts him all the way down to P18 there. So again, showing the grid very, very close indeed. You know, only a little bit of a jump then, and you can see basically all the people who qualified around me who made it through into Q2, literally only covered by 1 or 2 tenths there. So very close stuff. Good to see as ever. But we move through into the second part of qualifying. We start off on the soft tyres because as soon as I went into this session, I just went straight to track because I knew it was going to start to rain, and my engineer said nothing to me about being on the wrong tyre. But now, as I've gone through the outlap, it's now started to rain too much. The DRS is disabled. As we come through the last corner to start the lap, we get it all crossed up there and spin it around, just obviously drop the throttle, and there's just no grip on the curb that was there on the rear right tyre was on, and so the thing just went round there, hit the wall. Lucky not to collect the Toro Rosso there as I slowed down in time because I could see him coming on the minimap there. So unfortunately couldn't set a dry time, but I don't think anyone else did either because the rain just unfortunately came down a little bit too early for us. Maybe 1 minute later, and I could have maybe just about finished one flying lap with some rain at the end of the lap in Sector 3, but alas, I didn't even start the flyer before it was too late with DRS disabled. That pretty much would have been the kind of prompt to say that it was too late there. So we come through then on a set of intermediate tyres with our first flyer across the line, only P13 there, so like I thought, it's going to be difficult to really get through maybe into the top 10 shootout once again, like we did at Monaco. To be fair, I was surprised at that, but of course, there was rain in Q1 and Q2 was dry then in Monaco, so that helped out a lot, whereas this time round, Q2 is the one with the rain, and it took us about 4 laps in Monaco to get through into Q2, and here at the Canadian GP, I'll do 2-3 flying laps on the Inters, and it won't be good enough. We're down in the end all the way down to P15. It was P12 there as we ended the session, but of course everyone sped up their times then at the end of the session, and so in the end I'm stone dead last in qualifying in Q2. So we're out, no top 10 shootout for us, so Monaco will be the only place we made it through there for now in this season. But to be fair, we can't be too disheartened because Monaco probably is one of the best circuits to be able to do that, because obviously the player and the driver makes such a difference compared to the car, whereas, you know, our car still very much is not on there on paper. Neither does it feel like it's right up there, like it should be getting through. And so P15, to be fair, I would have been happy with that, you know, 3 races ago. So it's just our expectations have kind of gone up lately since we've been on the up in performance-wise. So to the race then, there will be rain for the race. I'm not too sure at the start or the end of it, so let's see. But either way, changeable conditions is going to be quite an exciting one, hopefully. So let's go to the race.
Canada has a true love affair with Formula One. The grandstands here are always packed to capacity. It's a country that has given us the likes of Gilles and Jacques Villeneuve, the thrilling Grand Prix of 79, of 98 and of course 2011. They love their motorsport in Montreal and we absolutely love coming here. It's a tricky circuit to tackle in wet conditions, with top speed still of critical importance down the long back straight. There are 2.7 miles and 14 corners overall on a circuit that in the dry can see average lap speeds of around 130 miles per hour. We'll be lucky to get anywhere near that today. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position today, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Butler, Weber, Romain Grosjean and Giovinazzi, Leclerc, Perez, Norris and Pierre Gasly, Bottas, Magnussen, Nico Hülkenberg, the engineer, Stroll, Vettel, George Russell and Max Verstappen. Kvyat and Kimi Raikkonen finishes off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So we're met with a fresh hell of rain at the start of this Grand Prix. So not only will we have heavy fuel to contend with, we also have potential heavy rain, but on intermediate. So a very skatey car, because the indicator on the session forecast there has a symbol for heavy rain. Usually would go on full wets then, but it's not going to be enough rain, heavy rain that is, to warrant the full wet tyres. So all of us are going to be starting on the inters. I even checked it on the race director, and so it's just going to be a case of the first few laps might be very much on tiptoes, as the car isn't fully really ready for that circuit as it starts to dry out a little bit to fully intermediate conditions, if you get what I mean. And then we're going to go towards a dry period at the end of the Grand Prix. I'm hoping for our sake that comes sooner rather than later, because I feel like our car obviously is going to perform better in the dry than the wet, and definitely I will perform better in the dry than the wet as per usual. Really, I don't really gel that well with the wet conditions on F1 games in general, really, but we're going to have to make the most of it here. We start in P14, is I think it was Max Verstappen with a grid penalty there, so that bumps us one place at least. But the first part of this race may just be survival, and then we'll just see what we can do from there, where we are on track, and hopefully make the best of the jump onto the dry tyres. So let's get into this. As we now go towards 5 red lights in a rather soaking Montreal circuit here from P14 on the grid. The lights are out and we're underway, and it's a very gingerly start for everyone. That already the spray comes at us, and we're blindsided into turn 1. We've got Stroll on the left-hand side. We're just going to try and go to the outside end. It's the only place we can really go there due to the Canadian blocking us off on the left, but we nip it down the inside of our Hülkenberg there, a little bit on the curve, a little bit edgy as the German tries to squeeze us. We squeeze him back though, and we get the job done up into P13. So a pretty decent start actually, all things considered. I think that was the best we could have hoped for really, as the spray was biblical into turn 1, and really it's just a case of tiptoeing round, you know, you're tapping the throttle, tapping the brake pretty much every few seconds, as you can see, just like that, as we get almost caught up there by the Williams car. Magnussen almost brake checks us unintentionally because the domino effect kind of gets in there, and we get the move done though round the outside. So I made the most of that, of a late dive bomb that I didn't plan to make, but we made it work, and so lo and behold, up into P13 then. So that's exactly what I mean. You know, you're just constantly watching out ahead of you, trying to watch out for that rain light to see where on earth the cars are. But you can see the spray is so much that at a distance, at the right angle, you just really can't even see the cars ahead of you. But we make another dive then to the inside of another car of Gasly this is. So 2 racing points we're trying to get in the span of 1 lap, although making a bit of contact with the Frenchman. He gets it gone round the outside. Obviously us 2 bitter championship rivals from last season going toe-to-toe for P11 here. So how times change. But here we are with the slipstream overtake mode. The car feeling very quick indeed in a straight line. Gasly's slow. I don't know if he's got higher wings than us on this setup there, but we have to cut in tight, and we're going to try and make the switch back from the right to the left. Again, plant the power earlier than he can, up into overtake mode. Rich mix going on as we're neck and neck now across the line onto lap number 2. Down the inside we go, and we are just going to skate through up that position, just about keep it on the black stuff there as we almost hit the grass on the right hand side. A la Daniel Ricciardo back in 2014, I think it was, with a very dicey move there into turn 1 and 2. But we're up into P11 then. So as opening laps go in the wet, I would say that's one of my best ones actually, in terms of nothing went wrong. I've made some positions up, and I'm actually feeling pretty fast actually. The car is feeling not too bad. Setup wise, I've only gone for 6.6 wings, so right in the middle, the default basically, because I thought, you know, I don't want too much downforce. I also need some speed and straight line, but at the same time I want some downforce. And it looks like as we move on towards lap number 4 then, purple last sector, we found a very happy medium then with this setup. And of course the cars ahead of us kind of training each other, just like they do in the dry, just without DRS. It's just a kind of dirty air train and a kind of slipstream train, if you will. And you can see here though, getting a mega exit off that right-hander into the chicane, having a go at Valtteri Bottas down the inside, switch it from right to left there, although he does a great job of defending and just about cuts across us there on that curve as we go through the subtle left and then the right into the end of sector 1. Bottas putting up a good defensive fight there, but our car feeling so punchy off that right-hander of turn 2. Very, very surprised. I was not ready to make a move there, but lo and behold, the car just willed me on. And so here we go to the inside of turn 1, then trying to find some space. A little bit of contact made, opposite lock to keep the car going, drifting through turn 1 and 2 as Bottas gives us some room, but just not enough that was. But here we go on the exit. Bit of a oversteer moment there for us, and we make some more contact on the front right. Bottas outbrakes us because I'm so tentative on the brakes. Don't want to lock up, but we're still side by side. But we're going to squeeze him out there on the exit, and we're going to get this up into P10 and into the points paying position for the first time in this GP, and then slow everything down, break in a straight line, and just calm ourselves a little bit there. Very, very nerve-wracking when you're trying to go side by side with a car in these conditions, you know, because you just don't know when you're going to drop the throttle or, you know, get the braking slightly wrong and you start to lock up there. So always a worry. But we now come through on towards lap number 9, about to set a personal best as we catch Lando Norris in the pack up ahead, but Valtteri Bottas behind sets an even better time and goes fastest of all in this GP. So the man I overtook now is a fast man on track, and he's closing back up to me. I'm still going okay, so both of us are now rapidly catching this pack, tail-ended by Lando Norris. And like I said, it's just a case of all these guys getting stuck behind one another. They don't have the confidence to make a move on each other, and they're just getting stuck in a slipstream train. And both of us in relative clean air. Of course, Bottas is behind me, but I'm going okay at okay enough speed where he's still setting the fast lap of the Grand Prix, clearly. But both of us now are doing well to catch up to this pack, and so sooner rather than later, we might be able to make a move on one of the McLarens, which will be very surprising, to be fair, but it's just what happens sometimes when you get caught up in traffic. And so then by the start of lap number 10, we're fully closing up now to Norris. Look at that in the brake zone. They're so slow, as you can see there. I think one of the cars up ahead tried to make a move on, or had made a move on one of the McLarens of Sergio Perez that is ahead of Norris. And so we have a little slip around the outside of Norris's rear end there. He goes a little bit defensive to the next right-hander. We go nice and easy because I really just can't see what's going on here with the spray. I can hardly even see Perez now. I can only just see Norris's rear wing, and Perez just in the distance, covered up by the rain spray. We come through to the end of lap number 10. I think Perez is side by side with a car there, and Norris might get involved. This is our chance to kind of tentatively get in the middle of this maybe. Just be patient and watch where the space is, especially into this last chicane. The AI are so prone to slowing each other down. So easy does it into the right, then the left, cut in tight, and here we go, making the move on Lando Norris. We're going to now cut across on the right and make the move on Sergio Perez potentially there into turn 1. We've got another car to duel with. It's the Haas, and we've got a move done by Perez though. He comes back at the Haas. It's an amazing little overtake there by Perez because he seemed way too far back there in the brake zone, but just slid it through through, and the Haas was so slow on the braking, so we got the move done for P9. We got re-overtaken by Perez because he's still trying to re-overtake and get the move done for a double overtake. We're going to squeeze through on the left, round the outside of Roman Grosjean. Narrowly missed the wall. There's Grosjean. I don't think he saw me, so he was just moving through to the racing line, and we just managed to find the space between his car and the wall there. Very harrowing moment being on the curbing and the grass there momentarily with these conditions. We make it through, and we're up into P8 here. You know, the intermediates, you know, favours the brave. If you can make the pass, you're going to make it work. And so we're going to be up into P8 now on lap number 12, chasing after Sergio Perez here. We're going to have overtake mode, or no DRS of course, but that will be enough for us. Overtake mode, rich mix, and the McLaren slow in a straight line. We're going to waltz past on the right hand side up into P7. Easy does it under braking the chicane just to make sure we don't lock up there. And so we're in a very lofty position, to be honest. I didn't think we'd be up in this position by lap number 12. I thought we'd be kind of staying put where we were for most of the race until the dry weather came. But lo and behold, the car's been feeling very punchy in these conditions. And it's good proof because George Russell behind us, our teammate, has also been getting in the middle of some overtakes. As here he is now behind a duel between the Williams and Red Bull. And you're about to see a beautiful little double pass here from George Russell. He gets the Williams car, then keeps it going and goes round the outside of the Red Bull there through the hairpin. I think that's going to be the move done on the exit. Stroll, the home favourite there, overtaken by our teammate. Squeeze him out on the exit. There we go. And he's made the pass. So our car in general is looking very, very good. So I'm pleasantly surprised. And you'd say as we go on through this Grand Prix, it could only get better because just like I said, obviously I feel better in the dry conditions compared to the wet, but our car is already feeling great right now. And you can see clearly the rain is definitely slowed down a tad as there's less water on track and less water just in the air generally. So as the confidence picks up, we're going to try and go faster and faster and just feel out the circuit. But as we come through the next right-hand, a massive issue for us and a massive moment of saving the car. Full opposite lot. We tried to go flat out through that right-hander because it usually is in the dry, but we weren't ready for it. The circuit wasn't ready. The car wasn't ready for it. And so we had to make a massive chop at the steering wheel and somehow got away with no damage on the front left there as we grazed the wall. And at the same time, we also saw a Williams car. I think that was a Magnussen out of this GP then. And so we've got one less car to worry about, but I think he was already behind us, wasn't he? So we're still in P7 then. Up ahead of us, Devin Butler is the car next up. He's just been overtaken by the Toro Rosso, who's also overtaken the next car of Giovinazzi, I believe, in the Haas. So Gio and Butler both being done by a Toro Rosso. So the Toro Rosso showing some good pace. And of course, Bottas with the fast lap of the Grand Prix earlier, and now Leclerc making two easy passes. My teammate into the pit lane because it's now time for the dry tyres. On that lap 16, I had a little thought of coming in, but then I decided just to follow everyone else. But by the time we get to the end of the lap, it was very much time for the dry tyres. Sergio Perez closes right up to me, but doesn't make the move because both of us are coming into the pit lane there. So saves my bacon a little bit from being overtaken by the McLaren, and we just about slow that thing down for the pit lane limiter. And so now we're in for a set of medium tyres. Now everyone, I'm sure, will go on to mediums. It's a fast pit stop there. We're going to awkwardly come through in the middle of the Haas and the McLaren there. Thank God for the ghosting system on this game. I would love to know what would happen if there was no ghosting on this game. There'd be so many crashes in the pit lane, I think, with AI on AI or player on AI, that lo and behold, we do ghost, and we're through on lap number 17 and on medium tyres. Everyone, like I said, probably is going to be on the mediums now to the end of the Grand Prix then. So it's about trying to wind up this speed, feel the confidence out as the track rubbers up and gets faster and faster as we go on through and lay down rubber through these laps. It's about making the most of it then and trying to make some more passes. But you can see there, they're trying to get to grips with it. A little bit of understeer and a little bit late on the brakes there into the chicane compromises my line. Giovinazzi sending the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so showing the Haas really does have some pace as he has a little bit of an attack on the Red Bull there. Butler very defensive. Bottas now set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so everyone's speeding up here now. Norris with the fastest lap, then another one with George Russell, my teammate, even as well. Good to see him popping a good time in there. So everyone's just going faster and faster. And so here we go then. The action begins ahead of us. Giovinazzi side by side with Devin Butler. We're going to go through cleanly through the chicane. They compromise each other. We cut through to the left-hand side. DRS open nice and early on the power. We're going to stay on the left of Butler there and get very close to the wall and the grass, but stick it to the inside of turn one. And that's two moves in the span of one straight up into P5 here, and feeling amazing right now at the Canadian GP. This is a very lofty position from P15. I really didn't think this was going to be possible. I thought we'd be scrounging for maybe P9, P8 maybe with the rain, but you know, the surprise pace we had in the wet has just meant it's a big springboard for us, because we just start so much higher up here so we can try and do even better in the dry and get even more positions in the dry here. So here we go. Butler has re-overtaken me, surprisingly, around the outside of the hairpin, to be fair to him. Slow in the last sector off that right-hander before the hairpin. So we're now side by side. We go early on the brakes, though, trying to get a better, tighter line through the chicane. That works out for us. You can see clearly as we're back now side by side with him. We're going to squeeze him through to the right-hand side, not let him push us around on the left. Down the inside we go, but he's outbroken us completely into turn 1, into turn 2. We have to try and waltz around the outside there, get the power down as early as I can. Butler squeeze us again on the left. We're so close to the grass and the tyres. We go early again on the brakes, trying to get another tight line and get better exit, but Butler is not giving up, but we're not giving up this time. We keep our footing on the left-hand side into the inner sector 1, still at it now for a whole lap or more, but we get the move done eventually. Round the outside, move swiftly to the right to try and break this slipstream for Butler, and you can see behind the McLaren of, I think that's Perez, is now coming through to attack him here, as well as another car of I think the Haas of Giovinazzi there as well, and so hopefully Butler's too busy fighting the McLaren and I can get away from him there as Weber sets fast after the Grand Prix. I believe Lucas Weber is leading the Grand Prix, by the way, in the Renault, with the two Mercedes close behind of Hamilton and Ricciardo, but you can see behind us on the top left there of your screen, Perez now is the one in P6, so Perez overtaking Butler is an aid for us, but I'm sure Perez will be coming at us thick and fast, and yes, he is on lap 21 then. He's already up our chuff. The McLaren, obviously the fastest car on paper on the grid right now, and this is why he comes through. He's just got so much better speed mid-corner there and mid-apex. It's just like his car's so much lighter and rotates so much quicker, and so we come through with no DRS now on this straight. Perez has got it off us because the detection point was a little bit earlier there, although we are gaining on the McLaren somewhat here, but I don't think we're going to be able to make a move, and instead Giovinazzi with a massive dive down the inside. Oh my word, the Italian absolutely sent it there into the chicane. He's actually going to pull through. That Haas is looking pretty rapid in a straight line. Here he goes, has a look on the outside. We lock up at the front left and just about defend from him and cut across in mid-corner. And Gio, though, surprises me greatly there. The Haas seems to have some great pace there, so it really wasn't lying on the R&D chart at the start of the episode when I showed you guys how much Haas has been improved lately. They really have. But we move on, lap 27, run out up into P5 because Sergio Perez has just pit for a set of soft tyres, and as we almost go off the circuit there as our tyre wear kicks in a little bit. But Perez with a late pit stop here. I didn't think anyone was going to make another pit stop for dry tyres. I don't know why. He was on mediums as well, so I don't know. Maybe the McLaren just doesn't have that great tyre wear, I guess, maybe. So he's now gone behind us on the softs, although by 3 laps later, lap 30, he's already back behind us. So that's how rapid he is on those soft tyres, and he had a decent gap also to us, ahead of us, I must say, before he made that pit stop. So that's why he's so close to us now. But although, as we move on down that straight, in towards lap 31, yellow flags. I'm pretty sure, I think that's just Perez that's just gone out the Grand Prix, you know. I think because Butler's now P6 again as we cross the line. Yeah, Perez out of the Grand Prix. So Perez was looking very punchy indeed, but he has some sort of engine failure, and he's actually caused a safety car. The full safety car is out with 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix due to Sergio Perez retiring and parking up on the back straight there, and so we calm things down. There's no warrant for a pit stop here, unfortunately, so nothing to do, nothing clever to do here. So we're just going to stick behind Leclerc. It'll be in P4 and get ready for this restart then. We've got 2 laps to go then in this GP, and here we go. We've gone green slightly. It's a little bit of an awkward timing, and we're going to try and overtake Leclerc if we can. Down the inside we go, but it's a little bit too early there as we haven't crossed the safety car line yet, and so if you come through there, I'm pretty sure in real life you're allowed to make a move. Like, there's a white light, the white safety car line is actually before the chicane in real life, I'm pretty sure, unless they changed it, but in the game it's not, and so I had to let Leclerc back through, which was very frustrating because we had the pace. He was so slow for some reason into chicane, and so we have to give that position back into turn 1, and so a bit of a blunder there, and kind of lost chance really, because the 3 cars up ahead, the 2 Mercs and the Renault of Weber fighting quite hard there, and so much so that by the time we get through towards the last lap of the Grand Prix, Leclerc catches up to them, but they're all fighting so hard. I think Hamilton has just made a move for the lead of the Grand Prix, Weber down to P2. They're fighting so hard that we're going to actually close up to them on the last lap of the Grand Prix. You can see they've slowed up massively into turn 1 as they're now side by side. The Renault of Weber defending from Ricciardo there in 3rd place into the hairpin. We're right there. It's a big old train of 5-6 of us for Butler as well, but what was meant to be there. But I maintain, I'm pretty sure the safety car line was after the chicane in real life, but oh well, anyway. But it doesn't look like we're going to get any more positions, to be fair. there. P5 is a massive, massive result for us there. So we come through from P15 on the grid, through the wet conditions, very tricky, but the car was so fun to drive, I must say, in those conditions. And so we come through across the line. It's a very, very solid P5 today.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Yet another historic win under their belts. Well done to the team at Mercedes. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So in the end, unfortunately though, for us, I guess for the championship, Hamilton gets the win, so he's going to get the lead back. I think he's the one with the two wins this season, the first repeat winner of this season, I should say. Russell gets P10, so he gets one measly point for Ferrari. So we maintain our P4, and there you can see Hamilton does take the lead, but he's actually not too far away from Weber then, as Weber's been very consistent, along with Verstappen as well. Unfortunately, he had a grid penalty for this Grand Prix, but Renault are dominant so far, really, with a massive gap compared to everyone else. I mean, we're in a fight with McLaren, it would seem like, on points. You could say for P3 and P4, and Toro Rosso climbing up the order then up into P5, and it's so close between Toro Rosso, Williams, Alpha, Racing Point, and Red Bull there. So good to see. And Haas, who are now really improved this episode. They're last place. Surely the next few episodes we're going to see Haas get back into the fight and get some points here. So it's going to be basically fighting all the way down the order for different championship positions, which is just what you love to really see, really. What you kind of want to see in Formula 1 all the time, and only really happens in the game, sadly. But so yeah, another really solid result. You know, we just keep making the most of this car and making the most of the situation as well. Like, I will fully admit, I think every race so far, we really have had a little bit of luck here and there. It's either, the car performs a bit better in the wet than we thought it would do, or, the cars slow each other up too much by fighting, so we get, a few positions very quickly or whatnot, or the safety car, or, this or that or the other. So, but you got to make the most of it. That's what happens in Formula 1. You got to make the most of your luck. If you don't capitalize on it, you're going to waste opportunities. So we make the most of everything, basically, as we're pushing flat out to try and get the most out of this car before it becomes a podium regular or a race winner or whatever, whenever that will come. But for upgrades then, we're going to go ahead and purchase 2 engine upgrades then, one on the ERS and one on the fuel consumption. So we've already maxed out every power upgrade, so now it's all about how we use the fuel and how we use the ERS. It will mean our car can be lighter at the start of the Grand Prix. We can use overtake mode and hot lap mode more often in the Grand Prix. It just means we have a faster race car basically in all conditions every single lap of the GP, hopefully, by the time we get through these upgrades there. Aero-wise, I did think about it, but I feel pretty good actually right now with the aero of the car. Today showed me with 6.6 wings, the compromise of our setup is actually not too bad. We're not going to compromise one way or the other too badly here, so feeling good about where the car is right now actually. So guys, if you did enjoy that episode, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, look for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.